He's been called an institution and the dean of borderland high school football coaches. Darren Sepkowitz, who spent nearly a half-century at Andrus High School, has died. ABC 7's Darren Hunt sat down with Coach Sepp for an exclusive interview the day he retired.
47 years has really gone by pretty quickly.
Andrus coach Darren Sepkowitz turned 72 in March. And although his health is good, after nearly a half-century at the same school, during which he coached hundreds of players and touched thousands of lives, he's decided it's time to walk away.
What was Andrus like in 1965?
It was kind of a barren school.
Sepkowitz, who played at New Mexico State, said he nearly ended up coaching at another El Paso school.
I'd gotten a contract to go to Burgess as a 9th grade football and track coach.
But an old NMSU teammate hired him at Andrus, and the rest is history.
Why stay 47 years at the same school?
In life, you feel like there's a little niche for you, and I just felt like the niche was working with high school kids.
Kids like Brian Young and Paul Smith, both of whom starred for UTEP and went on to play in the NFL.
We've developed some men that have gone out and done quite well in their careers. There's no way that you can reach everybody, and thank goodness we've reached more than we have not reached.
Perhaps what's most amazing about Coach Sepp's lengthy career is his consistency over the years. 258 victories, 14 district championships, and 17 by-district championships, including this one in his final season.
The game has changed so much with the wide open offenses that are run today, more complicated defenses. Most don't really stay one place as long, of course, even close to as long as I have. But a lot of them don't even stay 5 to 10 years in one place.
You're the Coach Haskins of high school football.
I guess so. I guess you could say that, because if I could be in the same breath as Coach Haskins, then I guess we've done something right.
Hard to walk away?
Yeah, it will be. It will be emotional. It will be. And I knew it was coming. It had to be coming. I mean, you know, somewhere along the way. So it's time to do it now.
What an emotional story. Joining us now is ABC 7's Darren Hunt, who worked on that story. What was that, a couple years ago?
4 years ago, his retirement in 2012. It's really emotional today. Even just watching this, you know, Nicole Gomez is an Andrus graduate. She's just off the set here, and she's tearing up a little bit about this. Two guys I interviewed today about this, Ken Owen, the old AD at EPISD, and also Robert Elliott, an assistant of Coach Sepp's today. Both of them choked up in tears today. I was a little emotional when I saw that package, and I pulled that this morning. He meant a lot to us. I think the best comparison is he was the Coach Haskins of high school football here.
And so I was trying to get some of the facts. He coached for 40-something years and touched, you said, thousands of lives.
Yeah, absolutely, because you could say he coached hundreds of players maybe, but the thousands of kids in his classroom. He was a science teacher, very good science teacher, taught biology to a lot of kids as well. Just a guy who went beyond just coaching. It's much broader reach than that. I think he's arguably, and I grew up in Northeast El Paso, maybe one of the most influential, or the most influential Northeast El Pasoan maybe ever. Think about it, almost a half century at the same school. The influence he had there, amazing. The flag at Andrus today at half staff, and probably rightly so.
And what makes him so good? Why do you think people gravitated towards him and just reacted to his coaching so
I think he
well?
loved kids. He cared about kids, and you know, we all do, but do you do things to help those kids make themselves better people? Do you invest all your time toward that? Coach Sepp was always like that. I was a young reporter when I first met him. Always took the time to be very gracious and do the interviews, and you know, just had such an impression not only on those kids, but on someone like me as a young reporter. I mean, it was just amazing to get to know him. He will be terribly missed. It's tough. We have to let go of some of these guys. You feel a little old if you're me today, because I've known Coach Sepp since I was in my early 20s, maybe even dating back into high school, really. I went to Irvin, so we were rival schools. I watched Coach Shaw at Irvin, who's also a legendary football coach here, coach against him many times. So for me, Coach Sepp is so much part of my life growing up in Northeast El Paso, and we're really going to miss him.
I can hear the emotion coming through. It's just touching me. And of course, his legend will live on forever because 3 players in the NFL. That's amazing.
Paul Smith, of course, Brian Young, who played also at UTEP with Paul Smith, who played in Super Bowls, Brian Young did, and of course Ray Mickens, who went on to Texas A&M, was a superstar at Texas A&M, and then on to play for the Jets. Talked to Ray today. Ray said that perhaps no one had as much an influence on his life as Coach Sepp, and not just football, he said, but my life, he said, in general. And I think that's the ultimate compliment. The way he taught and the way he coached kids was a life lesson. And, you know, I love the game of baseball, and I talk about it all the time. The lessons in the game of baseball are for life. That's how Coach Sepp taught the game of football.
That's amazing. Well, he will be missed, and we give our best to his family, of course.
Absolutely, praying for them.
Thank you so much for joining us here at 4, and I know we have more stories coming up here on 5 and 6 on his legacy. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Ash.
it. And time